I've so much enjoyed the stories. So my object, hopefully we can see it,
Okay,
is a
I'm
ship in a
gonna,
bottle. And this ship in a bottle, first, why do I keep it? First of all, it's just really cool. You're not finding a lot of ships in the bottle laying around anymore. And so I've had it, it's been in my family. I remember it from when I was a little girl, looking at it, trying to figure out how the ship got in that bottle and trying to figure out how did that ship that's bigger than the top of the bottle get in there. And that was a fascination with us kid, which kind of sad now that I know how they do it, because that kind of cut some of the magic away. But the whole idea of the ship in the bottle. The other reason this is a very meaningful object to me is my mom's name is on this ship. And she has a unique name, so it's not like I found a ship with Mary on it. It's got my mom's name on it. So that means a great deal to me. Like Matt, I had a single mother raise me most of my life, and I didn't know we were poor either, but I did know she worked a whole heck of a lot too. So the objects that I have that from when I was a kid are very important to me. The other thing about this is the origin story of this ship in a bottle. So I keep it also because it reminds me of my grandfather. My grandfather was an immigrant to Canada in 1929. He fought in the British Army in World War I and he didn't fight. He was in the Veterans Guard in World War II in Canada. And you go, well, what was he doing in garden in Canada? We had German prisoners of war were shipped over and put in camps all over Canada. We had about 34,000 prisoners, predominantly German. And my grandfather was at, it was Camp 130 in CB, Alberta, which is about 80 kilometers. It's about an hour from where I live for the unkilometer people. And he guarded at a camp there. And this was made by a prisoner for him. And so the meaning of that to me, the fascination with it, many of those German prisoners of war, they weren't really trying to escape because this is in the middle of nowhere. It was in the Rocky Mountains in Kananaskis area. So there was nowhere to go. Some tried to escape. There have actually been books written by the prisoners who tried to escape. They almost always came back because even if you got out of the compound, where were you going to go from the middle of nowhere? So I think it says a lot to the cooperation between the guards and the prisoners. The guards had only rifles, like single shot rifles. They didn't have automatic weapons or anything. And eventually the prisoners built their camp. Initially it was tents. They built their barracks and everything. And they had things there that they made. I have a couple other things. They were made by the prisoners in the camp. And so it says to me, patience, perseverance, and something about the cooperation between them, even at that time of war, with having this. And I think what I learned from it is the magic is just the whole story, and the ship itself is magic. I wish I could find out who built it. I would like to know what happened to that prisoner who made this ship in a bottle and put my mom's name on it. I'd like to know, my mom was one of 6 kids. I'd like to know why her name got on it, because there aren't 5 more of them with anybody. So I don't know what was going on at that time. So that's to me what, as I've been doing with Marty and Faith for all of Save Your Photos Month, partly inspired by Bill's book. Well, maybe totally inspired by your book, Bill, but is trying to get people to tell their stories, because they're objects. And I was shocked because I was telling my son, who's 24, that I was going to do this. He goes, well, what are you talking about? I said, this boat. And he goes, or this ship in a bottle. And he goes, what is that anyway? And I'm like, oh man, I mean, my kids don't even know the stories. So I want everybody to tell their stories. And some things where I'd like this to end up is either to stay in my family, or I may actually want it to go to, there is a museum from that prisoner of war camp, and there's also the Canadian Military Museum. And I feel like it probably belongs there because it's a little piece of history. And I think all of our own stories and telling them, they're part of history too.